Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. It's been a while, but I'm here now. I hope everyone had a very happy holiday. I did. We're in the second week of the new year. Anyway, I'm back. I'm going to be talking about special education. I do want to, add some things, make some things more clearer. On some things like special education teacher. Usually, a special ed teacher have a caseload, and we usually have about 18 students per case, on our caseload that we're responsible for on a daily and weekly basis. Where I may have to spend, in most cases, I do have to at least spend an hour per 18 students, individually or in groups, and sometimes 2 hours a week or more. Also, there are other categories. We have special ed teachers who teach and service students who are autistic. Now, a student who's autistic, there's so many different levels of autism. Autism is very interesting. I really have a lot of fun with my autistic kids. They are exceptional. Their insight is so keen and so honest and so angelic in most cases. So being a special education teacher, covers many areas. The first thing I like to tackle is reading, to find out their reading level, where they are at in their reading level. Can they read? Can they pronounce words? Can they enunciate? Try to identify the prefix, the suffix, the root of a word. Sometimes at the high school level, I run across students who cannot read, and then I have students who can read quite fluently. And after the reading has taken place, do they understand what they're reading? Special ed teachers usually test their students. Some school districts have a major testing system across the board for all students, including special ed students. I know here in the state I live in, we use the NEEA. Special ed teachers, we also use we have tests in a binder, a series of tests in a binder, and we call it the Brigance test. And we can administer, say for instance, the student's IEP said last semester at the high school level that they were reading at the 3rd grade level. So what I would do, I would go in the Brigance test booklet, and I would find materials at the 3rd and the 4th grade level. Like, look, let me see if they can do the 3rd grade. Okay, if they do good on that, let's do the 4th grade. If they do good on that, let's do the 5th grade. But if they're not able to pass those tests, then that is the level that they're on. And then I will know how to best work with them. I will have material for their grade level. Me as a special education teacher, and I usually teach high school students, I try my best not to give them baby work. I give them age-appropriate work. If they're in the ninth grade, we do ninth grade general ed work. If we're in the 10th grade, we do 10th grade. A special ed teacher have to do reading diagnostics tests that help us to understand the students' strengths and weaknesses in reading. Also, in the state I live in different districts, they give the NWEA test at the beginning of the semester, in the middle of the semester, and near the end of the semester. So say for instance, one might be given like late September, then another one may be given like January, and then the last one be given around April, Mayish. That way we can see if there's been progress over the period, over the weeks and the months. When introducing a story, it's good to first look for vocabulary. Some literature books will give you the vocabulary. So it's best for the students to look, examine, and study the vocabulary. Also, it's good that we do a book walk. What is a book walk? We just, say for instance, the story might be 5 or 10 pages long. We just look at the pages, look at the pictures, we turn the page, we talk about what we see. Let me back up. If it's a little small novel or an excerpt in a literature book, we look at the cover and we look at it, we talk about it. Then as we turn the pages, you know, a lot of pages might have some more illustrations. We talk about the pictures and illustrations. It gives you an idea of what the story is going to be about. And sometimes that kind of helps relax a student not to feel so apprehensive as they begin to dive into a story. So with the vocabulary and with the picture book walk, it kind of helps a student to kind of relax and get focused and get interested in the story. When it comes down to reading a story, we can read it together as teacher and, you know, small group. Or some students may want to read it on their own, but you have to kind of really supervise that because some students struggle with attention deficit disorders and they might read it or they might talk to their friends. But if you're talking to your friends, you're not reading, okay? Because you can't do both. So we have to get used to your students. You have to study them to know if they say, I want to read it on my own. Are you going to read it on your own, or are you going to go and have a conversation with your classmate? So me as a teacher, I just believe that we can just read it together, you know. I'll have them take turns reading. I usually start it off and then I let them read. Some students struggle, but I reassure my students that we are here to learn. We don't necessarily come here knowing it all. We are here to learn. This is where you come to learn. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel apprehensive because you don't know. This is why we're here. So, and it's kind of nice when they be reading and they have classmates sit next to them that, you know, may kind of help them out. but usually I prefer to be the one to help them if they struggle over a word. You know how you break it up in syllables and bring it back together. And so yeah, I like reading, and we call it small group instruction. And it might be 2 or 3 students or 5 students. And I'm talking at the high school level. I'm gonna interject whether I'm talking at the high school level or elementary level, but I may have to label my views high school, middle school, elementary. But right now I'm talking regarding the high school level. As far as reading and you knowing your students, sometimes they can pair up and they can take turns reading to each other. Again, you have to know your students. Are they going to take turns reading, or are they going to be talking about the latest rap song, or the latest fashion, or the latest color lip gloss? So you have to make sure that your students are focused on reading. So we have partner reading, where 2 students read to each other. Small group instruction, teacher, 3 to 5 students. And if they're going to read on their own, if you feel that they can do that, I mean, everyone's different, but you may have some students who can do that. But it has to be proven over time. And how do you prove that over time? It's when you do the assessment part, when you put forth the questions. Are they able to answer the questions coherently, logically, clearly? If they can silently read and answer the questions, then you know that they're able to read on their own. There are different ways in assessing your students once they have read some literature. By providing questions and having them answer them on paper, or verbally asking them questions and they verbally answering you. If it's partner, 2 students partner, then they should be able to share part of what they read so that you can check for understanding. So at the high school level, there is a lot of focus given on reading, comprehension, and writing. That also entails grammar and punctuation, good sentence structure. The high school literature books that I have taught out of and have seen are comprised of a lot of short stories condensed in a thick literature book. In my next segment, I'll talk about the literature comprised in the 9th grade level literature books. Also want to say the main things that we look at when we... So in my upcoming videos, I do want to talk about the Common Core. I also want to talk about multiple intelligences. People learn different ways. Everyone do not learn the same. Some people are more stronger in areas than others. We'll talk about the 7 multiple intelligences. Also, me being a special education teacher, I try to teach hitting all the areas. Like, I believe in linguistic, and I also believe in visual. some people are visual learners. And if you can see something being taught, you know, it can be easier for a person than them just hearing you say what to do. Some people they need both. So we're going to talk about those things. Me, when I introduce literature, I also try to find a film, a play, a clip of some kind to give my students a visual. Okay. I think that literature is so wonderful. You know, reading can take you back in time, present time, in the future. And we have to try to instill in our students the funness of reading. Like, because reading is fundamental, right? So we're gonna cover those areas too. So I'm gonna no doubt talk about a few stories and how I teach the lesson and things that you can, as a parent, can help your students with. They may, you may have some books around where they may read, and then you can ask them, so what are the characters' names? What do you think about their personalities? Where did this story take place? Was it taken during the Civil War? Was it taken? Did this story take place during the introduction of the 13 colonies? Is it a story out west? Cowboy story? Is it a spaceship alien story? These are things that you can ask your student as a parent when they are reading literature, so that you can make sure that they understand what they're reading. Okay, so I'll be getting back with you soon. I plan to bring more videos. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.